Hey, iPreppers, I've tried to do this a couple times now, and I really didn't know exactly how I wanted to do it. But this is going to be it. This is my last attempt. I'm going to get you content today. And this is kind of the introduction to it. So basically, what I want these videos to be is a place for you to go where I can explain it to you. But you can always, a lot of you guys, you know my phone number now. You can text me. We can FaceTime. We can Skype. We can do any of those things. I want you guys to be able to do your work. And it'd be nice to see you guys too. But what this video right now is for the content. And I'm doing a broad overview of the content. I'm going to do one for each of the 4 weeks that we're off here. And then hopefully we're back at it again April 20th in the classroom. So cue the intro.
You just got pwned, 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 pwned. Got pwned, pwned. Blah, 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 blah. You just got owned. Got pwned, pwned. Got pwned. You just got pwned, 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 pwned. Got pwned, pwned. Blah, 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 blah. You just got owned. Got pwned, pwned. Got pwned. You just got pwned.
All right, guys. So the week 1 episode is all about weather factors, and well, when you say something, about the weather, ask somebody how the weather is. Usually, they mean like what the temperature is outside. Is it sunny or so on and so forth? But there's a little bit more to it than that. Temperature is part of the weather, but there's actually 4 factors that control our weather, or how we measure weather. 1 is temperature, 2 is humidity. 3 is pressure, and 4 is wind and wind speed. So let's just break those down real quick. And we're not doing anything very extremely difficult here, but I'm going to highlight some things that you have to know over the course of this week 1. So number 1, temperature. Temperature is the movement of atoms of air. And the faster those atoms are moving, the more energy that is in those atoms, the hotter it is outside. And that's based on a couple things. Obviously time of year, but that's more has to do with climate, which we'll talk about in another unit. One major factor, though, that affects the temperature that we will talk about is altitude, or basically how high up you are or how low down you are compared to the ocean. In Buffalo, we're not too high up, we're not too far down, we're not on a mountain or anything, but the lake is higher above the ocean, so we are above the ocean. New York City would be a place that has a 0 sea level. Really, really high places like Denver, like on the top of Mount Everest. You can see snow caps up there. And the reason that is because as you go up into higher and higher altitudes, the air gets thinner. And as the air gets thinner, the temperature goes down. So temperature is the first one. Second one is humidity. Humidity is what controls most of our precipitation. Humidity is the measurement of water particles in the air. And if you have 100% humidity, then there is so much water in the air that it's probably going to come down in precipitation of some sort. That could be fog, rain, sleet, snow, hail, so on and so forth. A lot of those just depend on the temperature then, because all of these 4 factors are interrelated. How do we get snow? Well, the water vapor goes up into clouds, evaporation. You know that from 4th grade. So it evaporates up into clouds. As the clouds reach a point where there's more and more moisture in the air, and as you go higher up again, the temperature falls, you'll reach a point, and at that point, it's water will actually fall down from the sky, called rain. So you might have heard something called the dew point, and you probably have seen in the summer that if you come outside when it's colder at night, and you come outside in the morning, there's actually water on the grass. The whole reason is because there is actually a temperature for any time of the year where if the air temperature drops down that low, the water that's actually in there, there's water all around us in there, the water that's in the air will actually come out in liquid form. And if you look in your ESRT, I forget what page it is, but look in your ESRT, there's actually a chart where you can see what the temperature is versus what the dew point temperature is. And then it'll give you a percentage of what the pressure. Air pressure is actually how heavy the air is pushing down on you. So basically, our planet is, is all layered on the inside, but our atmosphere is also layered as well. It's basically like a blanket of gases that piles up on top of us, and in different times, different parts of the day, when we have different weather systems come through. There will either be a high pressure system or a low pressure system. It'll either feel heavier or it'll feel lighter. And what I really want you guys to know about pressure systems is if we have a high pressure system that comes in, that's usually associated with nice weather, sunny weather. So today is a sunny day here. Woo! Hi, Buffalo, blue skies. We actually have a high pressure system that moved in. Yesterday it was very, very cloudy and it was warm out, but it was cloudy. And we actually had we had a low pressure system that was moving out. Low pressure systems are associated with usually rain and cloudy weather. You don't really want to associate temperature with those, but I guess if really hard pressed, low pressure systems probably have a little bit cooler weather. That's why it rains. And high pressure systems usually have a little bit of warmer weather. The final is wind speed, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's how fast the wind goes. It's what direction the wind comes from. Usually places have predominantly one direction of wind speed. We do on Buffalo, we kind of have one direction of wind, not wind speed. We have the wind come off the lake, so the wind actually moves from west to east. We have westerly and actually sometimes northwesterly winds that come across. That usually brings the cold air, but sometimes we have southwesterly winds that move across and bring warm air. So those are the 4 weather factors. All of those weather factors can be measured by a device. Temperature, I think it's pretty obvious. You guys should know that temperature is measured by a thermometer. A thermometer either has mercury in it or water, usually water now. Mercury is a poisonous liquid metal, and so they don't generally use them anymore. But usually it's water or alcohol. Water thermometers usually aren't used because they'll actually, if the water freezes, they'll actually crack the glass. Alcohol is usually used like rubbing alcohol, and basically as the temperature increases, the alcohol will expand and it'll rise up to show you a higher number. If it's colder, it'll contract and it'll move down. So that brings me to this idea of density. Now, we talked about the 4 factors, but density has something to do with a couple of these factors. Specifically, actually, it has to do with all of these factors. So we talked about density a lot with convection currents underneath the Earth. Well, convection currents happen in the air as well. Convection currents happen when cool air sinks and warm air rises. So warm air rising has a lower density. But there's other factors to it too. High pressure. High pressure will tend to push kind of everything together, and you'll have a higher density. And that kind of knocks down those clouds from the sky. That's why you'll have sunny days on a high pressure day. Low pressure. Low pressure, everything kind of expands. It means that water can get in between those molecules and become super saturated and go up into the air and winds up forming clouds. So humidity, pressure, temperature, all related to different densities. Also, wind. Wind usually moves from basically it's particles of air that move from a high pressure system to a low pressure system. So you tend to get windy when it's a low pressure system, and a high pressure system it tends to be calm. Again, though, that has to do with the two different densities. You have it going from a high density to a low density, high density with a high pressure system and low density with a low density system. So how do you measure these things? Again, temperature is with a thermometer. Humidity is with, I'm going to mispronounce it. It's a sling psychrometer. There we go. Sling psychrometer for humidity. For wind, there's two different ones. Wind speed is by an anemometer. I can never say them right. Anemometer. And wind direction is actually by a weather vane, which you might have seen in cartoons. The rooster on the top of the barn, that shows wind direction. And then finally, pressure. Pressure has, I'm spacing on pressure. I'll get back to you. I'll probably put a visual up top or something like that. Okay, so on maps, these things are showed by ISO lines. ISO lines are basically lines, that's temperature and pressure, are showed by ISO bars and ISO lines. And basically these lines all show one temperature, show one number. So for temperature, it's every 10 degrees. The ISO lines will be 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So, and you've seen that probably on the Weather Channel. For pressure, it's measured in millibars. And, humidity is measured by a barometer. And, pressure is measured by a barometer. So if you take a look at the barometer shows high pressure will be nice weather, low pressure will be stormy weather. So a barometer will actually measure millibars, which is how much pressure is pushing down on us, and those are measured on a map every 4 for the ISO lines. For wind speed, if you take a look at a map of pressure, of air pressure, if the lines are closer together, you're going to have a windy day. If the lines are further apart, then the wind is not as bad. Because this wind, it's more about the changes in pressure from one area to another. I think that's pretty much everything that you need as far as your quizzes go today. You need to go through though and look in more detail, take your notes, make sure that you know what you're doing, make sure that you know how to use the ESRT. Ask me, please, for help. Again, I can do one-on-one with you. A lot of teachers are putting out their hours and stuff like that there. I have a child at home, a very young child, so I can't do my hours. What I can say is, within reason, I will work around my schedule to fit you in. That means no, I'm not going to do it at midnight. I'm not going to do it 5 a.m, but generally throughout the day. If you need me to work with a time, let me know, and I'll try to work with you. Just know that maybe last minute I might be 5 to 10 to 15 minutes late and have to rework with you because the baby pooped or the baby's not sleeping. You have to give me that, okay? I miss you guys. Love you guys. I want you guys to be good. Be good to your parents. And we're going to get through this thing. And hey, hopefully we see you soon. I'm going to tune in next week with episode 2, week 2. We're going to talk about station models. Station models are in the first packet, but if you would have read your agenda, station models you can work on next week. It's not hard, but it is a little bit more work. I kind of just want you to nail down the 4 factors, how to measure them, and so on and so forth. All right, take care. Bye.
You just got pwned.